This is Footwork Kick Legend. Today we're going to talk about how to throw the right kick harder. So we had a question from Ronaldson57 about how to throw harder leg kicks. And you may have seen the video where I was doing a combo with the focus mitt and kicking shield. And Robert knows how to throw a pretty hard leg kick. So I thought I'd ask him to give us some pointers and tips on how he teaches it and develops kicking power.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way I like to start is footwork is key. Footwork is absolutely everything. So what I'll do, especially with the beginners, is I'll take a line and I'll draw one straight line and I'll put one on a 45. And then also what I like to do is next to where that straight line is, I'll add a secondary line, okay? This does one of several things, okay? The V here allows me to get my feet set where I want them to be, okay? And then this secondary line on the outside teaches me to step out and open the foot, okay? There generally is 3 or 4 components to a low kick problems, okay? And so a lot of times it could be, I don't know, whatever the guy's name was, until I see what the video is and can analyze what he's doing, I don't know. So I can give you an overall view and hopefully this will help. So anyhow, what I'll do is I start in my fight stance, okay? So from my fight stance, I'm taking my front leg and I'm gonna step out. What I like to do is I'll put weight from the back leg and push off my back leg and open the foot. All right, this is very essential and to a very key element to help develop your low kick. So when I step and I'm, like I said, I'm pushing off the back leg, all the weight on this leg, okay? I'm opening the foot. I need to make sure that my heel starts to rotate with me. It's very important, okay? And now from here, I'm just gonna bring everything around all the way to the front and land. Once I land, I'll come back and back to my fighting stance. So I'll be here, I push, I step in, boom, making sure my abs are crunched in, making sure I'm leaning forward, weight on the leg, hand is across the face, and now I'm gonna pull. All right, and then once I make contact, I come back to my fighting stance. Nice and relaxed. So step, boom, step, make sure I open the foot, kick, and back to my fighting stance. Back to my fighting stance. Back to my fighting stance. And always come back and get set. Always, always, always. Teach yourself to come back and get set. Hands up, ready to go.
All right, so if you're just starting out, you may have some difficulty stopping that kick in midair, like Robert was. He's just doing it for the sake of the camera and to develop more sophisticated control, right? But the important thing, we were talking about this before we started filming, is that it's teaching the alignment of the right side of the body. So if you have to kind of fall over at the beginning, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? That's okay. That's okay. That's the biggest thing. The thing is, you want to make sure you get everything to the front, right? You open the foot, the foot starts to turn as well. It's very important the foot starts to turn. And then as the hip comes around, if you can't control the leg and you just fall forward, that's fine. The biggest part of this is my knee, my hip, and my shoulder all come to the front. One common mistake is a lot of guys will go here, right? And they'll throw the arm back behind them and the hands back here. Well, the problem with that is your leg is going one direction, but then your upper body's going another. So now you're taken away from your power. You're not going into the kick, okay? So you generally will lose power there, right? And 2 is they don't turn this foot. Yes, they might step and they might slightly open the foot, but you really have to turn the foot. And when I say turn, I mean literally pivot that foot all the way around. Make sure it turns, okay? And so that's what I like about this line, this second line here. Not only do I get to step, but when I turn, if my foot is here, okay, so I'm pointing, let's say at 10 o'clock right now, my heel should now, boom, touch. And then my back foot would be pointed at 8 o'clock, right? And then I come back to my fight stance. Make sense?
And maybe talk a little bit about how you drop your weight for the low kick in particular.
Oh, absolutely. So what I'll do is this, and this goes back to shifting the weight on legs. So I'm pushing off the back leg. So from here, right? So the hip, I'm loading up on this back leg. And then when I step everything from here and across. I step in and across. Boom, boom, right? So I push off the back leg, and I step into the kick. and then I come back. So everything literally, all the weight goes from the back leg to the front leg. Back leg to the front leg. So step, bang, and then come back to my fighting stance. Step, and then I come back to my fighting stance.
Yeah, I think a lot of developing power is, as Rob was saying earlier before we started filming, is just relaxing, right? Sometimes we get really tense and it actually starts limiting your power, right? One drill we used to do, actually why don't you grab a kicking shield and I'll grab a kicking shield. One drill we used to do, and by the way, when you get older, don't do this as much. This is a special day. I'll tend to work this and I'll ask people to work this on the heavy bag because at a certain age, no matter how much your private lesson rate is, the damage, the long-term damage that builds up to your leg is just not going to be worth it, right? I'm kind of hitting the limit here. Rob was fighting last year, so he's fine. But one way to feel it is to throw leg kicks at each other, and you're going to see when you're watching your partner, throw one like really tensed up, right? Right? It's still a hard kick, right? Because he's a hard kicker. But then now throw one just relaxed. Yeah. Right? And then we start playing a game, so we're just going to go 1 for 1, right? So we're going to go. And when you're kind of amped up and in the zone, it starts stinging, right? And you're starting to mentally dial it up without hurting your partner. Even though in your head, you're thinking, I want to break his leg in half through the kicking shield. I find this is a good place for people who are still relatively young and able to train athletically, but maybe who don't want to fight. I think non-fighters are still very comfortable with this drill.
And I think the other thing, just to add to what you're saying, is this helps add longevity to your career, right? And career doesn't necessarily mean being a fighter, but just the art altogether, right? Because, you know, some people have knee problems, back problems, ankle, whatever. And so training safe sinking like this allows that longevity. You're not taking so much damage to the body, and you're allowed to train for much longer periods of time, you know, through, you know, whether 10 years, 20 years, whatever the case may be, you know, because martial arts isn't about, you know, where am I going to be at in 6 months? It's, no, where am I going to be at in 6 years, 12 years? You know, that's how you really gauge your art and what you're doing. So. Yeah,
so I hope you found this useful. Give it a try. Put this in your teaching. Write in. Tell us what you do to communicate with your students. You know, as Rob says, an intelligent martial artist is always interested in new information that may be of service to the community they serve. So write in and tell us how you teach this. Show us video of you improving. We'd love to see it. In the meantime, if you live in the Orlando area and you want to improve the power of your low kick, check out Florida Muay Thai, FloridaMuayThai.com. Crew Rob and crew Paul, wonderful instructors, very welcoming. And like, follow, subscribe, all the stuff, you know what to do. This is Footwork Kick and Legend. Keep your chin down, elevate your striking.